On this week's FAS TV, we're on the island of North Uist, visiting Balranald Hebridean Holidays Campsite, a family-run campsite steeped in crofting tradition and heritage on the picturesque west coast of the island, in the heart of the RSPB's Balranald Nature Reserve. We hear how Anne and her family have grown the business, introducing a catering trailer, preparing and selling local produce, introducing the Dunes Larder, a modern farm vending retail facility available to customers 24/7, and how the campsite provides employment within the local community. We also hear from David Johnson, campsite manager, about his experience moving to Uist, integrating within the local community, and his appreciation for crofting culture and tradition.
I was brought up on a working croft on the Isle of Mbembekula, so my parents had a croft there, and I was always involved from a very early age with cattle and sheep, and I had a pony as well, so brought up like that. I did then study animal science at uni, and then I came back to the islands, and then my husband and I have got a number of crofts on North Uist, so I've been involved in crofting all my life really, and it's really part and parcel of the main thing that we do on a day-to-day basis is the croft. Our enterprise is developed initially from having a croft on the nature reserve, and we saw that there was an opportunity to do something on the nature reserve. Back when we started the campsite, which was in 2012, there was very little here in the way of facilities for tourists. There was a visitor centre, but nothing else that people could even get a cup of tea. So we saw there was an opportunity to do something. So the idea of the campsite was born. So we developed the campsite first. We opened in 2012 with 20 pitches and a facilities block, so with toilets and showers for our guests. And over the years this has grown, and so now the campsite, we've doubled in size. Back in 2019 have added an extra facilities block and extra pitches, so we're now up to 40 pitches on the campsite. The larder was an addition in last year in 2024, so we saw again that there was an opportunity for us to be able to sell our produce. So we produce beef and mutton and potatoes, machar tatties, which are the most amazing tatties you can get anywhere. We saw as an opportunity to be able to sell them to locals and to visitors. There's a demand, I think, now for local produce. Wherever you go, people are looking to buy, whether it's meat or vegetables or whatever, from the locality. So we opened up the farm shop last year with locker vending machines as a way of being able to sell produce and other Hebridean produce. So our focus is on local produce. Anything that's grown or caught or produced in the islands is what we're focusing on with the larder. So that's quite new, just been open a year now. But has lots of scope to develop as we grow, hopefully. Both my husband and I have been brought up on working crofts on the islands. So my husband had inherited his family's crofts on the west side of North Uist. So we have 50 breeding cows. So we have cross Simmental cows, and at the moment we're putting them to a Limousin bull, so that we're getting the cross Limmy calves, which is what our market here is looking for. But we do hope to be able to finish more of our animals soon to supply the farm shop. So in the past we've sold all our calves as store, which they go off to the mainland, probably to the east coast of Scotland for finishing. But we're quite fortunate in that we have quite a large area of land in our crofts that we have, so we are able to finish them ourselves. We produce a lot of fodder ourselves, so we can do that. Not everybody can do that on the islands just because of the size of the crofts, but we're probably in quite a fortunate position that we've got quite a bit of land. My son also has a neighbouring farm, Sculpig Farm, so he has blackface sheep and on there, because it's quite a lot of hill ground. So again, we'll be hoping to finish lambs there and to be able to supply meat to the farm shop in the future. So we're actually on common grazing where we are here beside the campsite. So we use the common grazings for grazing our cattle and our sheep. And then in the summer months, the land is cultivated. So we grow a mixture of barley, oats and rye for producing winter feed for the cattle. And that's all on the common grazing shares. So the cattle come off the common grazings in the summer and this area is cultivated. And then in the winter, the cattle come back down onto the machar and then it's grazed. So again, it's something that people won't have experienced in other places. So when visitors come to the campsite, they see the crops growing in small patches, and they're always quite inquisitive as to what's growing on the sandy soils. People find it hard to believe that we can actually grow crops on the sandy machar area, but we actually use a lot of cast seaweed as fertiliser, as natural fertiliser, which adds organic matter to the sandy soils, and it does actually produce very good crops and very good potatoes as well. So yeah, so people find that interesting as to what we're doing here, because it's so unusual to see the kind of pattern of cultivation that we have in the Machar. It's very unique to the islands. When we opened the campsite in 2012, I was pretty much working on my own, so I ran the campsite, and we were also doing catering the following year. So I did the food, did the catering, did the cleaning, everything. And then the business was quite small, but as the time has gone on, we've grown. So now in 2025, we employ 11 members of staff. Not everybody's full-time, but we're really passionate about supporting people to be able to live on our islands, and we need people to be living here to support our community. So that's something that's really important to us, that it's supporting families to work and live on North Uist. The opportunities that we have here as crofters is the environment that we are living in. I mean, we've got this beautiful environment. We're surrounded by wildlife and beautiful landscape and scenery that people want to come and see. So as crofters, we are caretakers of this land while we're here. So it's great for us to be able to allow other people to experience that as well, and to come and stay with us, or to eat produce that we've grown on in this area. So yeah, I think there's lots of opportunities for crofters to diversify. Challenges that we face in crofters there are many. The weather can be challenging for us producing, whether it's growing crops or raising livestock. The distance from markets, so being on an island, there's additional costs that we incur, whether it's to bring in feed or to anything that comes on the island is more expensive for us. So kind of the operating costs for crofters on somewhere like Uist are much higher than you would be if you're working on the mainland. Other things like geese and deer are always problems that we face. So there's always challenges, I think, to producing crops, because you've got, like geese causing a problem, or deer coming into your crops, things like that. So there are a number of challenges, but yeah. We opened the campsite in 2012, and then the following year we started the Dunes cabin. So it's a catering trailer which we had purchased on the mainland. We started doing food, and so that's grown over the years. So again, it was just myself that was running that to begin with, and now on a busy day we can have 4 or 5 members of staff serving customers, and that has grown hugely over the years. We're on the Balranald Nature Reserve, which has been here for over 60 years, and it attracts a huge number of visitors a year. So when we were doing research for developing the campsite back in 2012, I think the numbers of visitors coming through the visitor centre then were about 15,000 a year, which is quite incredible for a place like Uist. And I'm sure that's only gone up, because everybody that comes to the islands, the nature reserve will be one of their stop-off places to come for a walk, or just to come for wildlife, to bird watching and such likes. Being crofters on the island and living and working here, I think it's really important to be able to share that with visitors that come to the island. People are so interested in how we work and how we, the whole crofting and what we do and what crops we grow on the Machar. And so people are fascinated and always wanting to find out more about how we work here. A lot of the patterns of working on the Machar have been things that previous generations have done exactly the same thing. So for example, rotational cropping, where we only plough for 2 years and then fallow for 2 years, that's something that people have done probably for hundreds of years, and that practice still continues here. So there's lots of practices that have just been handed down from through the generations, and people still follow those, and that's what allows us to have this amazing wildlife, because it's the way the area is managed, and has been for a long time. Yeah. It's funny, there was never a master plan with our plan. There was no plan, actually. We decided, we'd start the campsite. And then as time's gone on, everything's just evolved from one thing to another, kind of naturally. There was never sort of a big master plan that we're going to do X, Y and Z over a 10-year period. It's just happened that you do something and then you see up an opportunity to do something else. And just a month or so ago, we had a couple get married on the beach here, and they used the farm shop building as their plan B if the weather was bad, that they could get married in the farm shop. So now I'm thinking, maybe wedding venue. So there's lots of ideas going on in my head, but I'm sure that we won't be static, put it like that. I think there's lots of things we could still do. So the more things that we can provide for people here means they'll stay longer, spend more money on the island, and that's really what we're essentially trying to do, is keep people as long as we can here and spending money and supporting the local economy and the local community. My advice to anybody thinking about diversifying is definitely go for it. There'll always be concerns about is it the right thing or the wrong thing to do, but I think unless you try it, you're never going to know. So I think don't be scared of giving it a go. There's plenty of people there that can advise you. Locally, we've had a lot of advice from the Business Gateway as well, our local business development officer within the council. So there are people that can help you locally, and I think use that to as much as you can. But yeah, don't be scared to give it a go, because I think you never know unless you try. So yeah, it can be daunting, and there's obviously always issues with trying to finance a new business setup, but I think there is help out there if you just go to the right people to kind of take advice. But yeah, definitely give it a go, because I don't think you'll regret it. We've never regretted anything we've done. It's been the best thing we've done, is diversifying and becoming fully self-employed. We have both been employed before, both of my husband, but then when we've gone self-employed, it's the most satisfying thing when you're running your own business. And like here, we meet such amazing people every day, and yeah, it just makes it worthwhile. So yeah. Most people that are crofting on the islands will have other jobs. They're not solely relying on the income from the crofting, because a small croft won't necessarily make you a huge income. So we all do different things. So as well as we've diversified into crofting, we also have a contracting business as well. So we do agricultural contracting, fencing, putting up agricultural buildings. So most people on the islands will do a number of jobs. It won't just solely be crofting. A lot of people would love to just be crofting and not have to do anything else, but unfortunately that doesn't necessarily pay all the bills. So I think you find that people on the islands are very resourceful and will turn their hand to lots of different things and have lots of skills. Where we are here is so special for a number of reasons. One of them probably will be the views, the landscape that we have that surrounds us here. And I find I walk on this beach in the winter every day, and it never ceases to amaze me. It looks different every day, the colours of the sea, the colours of the sky, and even on a grey day, there's something just really special about walking here and being out in the open and just experiencing the kind of the surroundings. So I get a lot of joy from that, just being here and working here. And like, it's not I suppose my office view from the office is fantastic, because I get to see this every day, so it's not like I'm stuck in an office, and I don't think I could cope with that anymore. Actually, I used to work in an office, but I think I would struggle to go back to that now, because I've got this on my doorstep every day to live and work in this environment. So I think we're all very fortunate and thankful that we do live and work here, and that we can call this home.
My typical day here would basically involve the day-to-day operations of the campsite. Now, as such, that there isn't really any such thing as a typical day, but they do follow a broad pattern. Come in the morning, deal with the queries of the people who are on site, dealing with bookings, and just trying to generally help the guests and maintain the site really as on a day-to-day basis. Whether that's cleaning or dealing with inquiries from the public, giving people tide times, giving people directions, or just dealing in general with bookings, I suppose. I moved to Uist about 13 years ago. From just outside of Glasgow. It was a wholesale lifestyle change for me. I had been to Uist once on holiday and just felt a real affinity with the place. I suppose I was looking for just a different way of life, and I thought maybe coming to Uist would afford me that. And I've been lucky since I've been here that I've been able to do a whole different bunch of jobs and meet different people, and I just really fell in love with the place, and I've never really looked back. The customer experience here at Balranald, we are trying to make it. It's a family business. I am not one of the family, but it's still a small kind of tight-knit operation. So for the customer, what we're trying to do is give them a sense of that as well. I suppose the famous island hospitality, and the process for them, really, the majority will have made a booking in advance. It's usually necessary if they're coming in the summer months for them to do that. And when they arrive here on site, it's more just a case of giving them a flavour of, one, the facilities, etc., that we have on site, the practicalities, you know, where are the toilet blocks, where are the bins, where is the grey water disposal, all of the things that they might require when they're here to actually service their stay. But as well as that, it's kind of telling them about the other services that we have on offer here, whether it's the food van or the new larder with kind of local produce and things like that, and also just act as a kind of point of contact for them while they're here, whether they have problems or whether they don't have problems. It's more just a case of being here to talk to them, to offer them advice of what to do in the area and further afield. Obviously, we're slap bang in the middle of the RSPB nature reserve, so that's a big draw for a lot of people that are coming here, especially at certain times of year. So it's more pointing them in the direction of where the walks are, where the beaches are, and everybody that works here, some of them, like myself, are transplants from other places, and other people have come their whole lives and lived here and around here. So everybody has a different, I suppose, idea of what it means to do things here, whether, you know, people are into fishing, whether people are into hill walking or surfing or kite surfing or just walking, or whether it's just hanging out on the beach. It's about just kind of giving people an idea of the numerous things that you can do around and about here. That's really what we're here to do as much as anything else. Obviously, for me, as an incomer, it's one of the things you do think about when you're moving to a small community. Am I going to be able to fit in? Am I going to be able to meet new people and things like that? But in all honesty, it was easier for me because I started working almost immediately that I came here. Not at this particular job, but somewhere else. And as soon as you start working somewhere, you're immediately connected with some members of the community, and then obviously in a small community where the majority of people do know each other, you then get to meet other people through that. And then obviously I've lived in this immediate vicinity, not far from the campsite, since I moved here. So my neighbours have been the same neighbours since then. So you do get to know them as people as well. I honestly never really found it difficult to integrate here. If you're prepared to kind of get out there and just meet people, the people here are so friendly. They're interested in you as well. You know, as soon as anybody new comes here, instantly they want they want to know, oh, who are you? You know, what's your story? Where did you come from? And it's a very welcoming place. It's not a cliche to say that about, island communities. It's one of the things that attracted me here, and I suppose has kept me here, is that maybe sense of community that you don't really get in a lot of places anymore. The thing I love most about Uist is the freedom, I think, and the connection with the outdoors, the connection with nature. Just being able to walk out your front door and, go fishing or go surfing or go swimming or walking or just to be quiet. There's very few places, I think, nowadays where you can just find that peace, and it's still possible here. And I think that's the thing above all else, I think, that I love most about Uist. 5 years or so that I've been here doing this job, the thing I love most about it, I think, is just dealing with people, is just meeting the people from all over, all over the world. Obviously, the majority of our guests probably come from the UK, but we get lots of visitors as well from Europe and from further afield, and just being able to pass on, I think, a little bit of the enthusiasm that you have for the place that you've kind of call home, and introduce, even if it's just a little taster for people in the time that they're here. I think that's the thing I love most about the job, is just meeting people and just being able to help them out and make them have a good time. And that's however they want to spend it. If when people leave here and they come in and they say, "Oh, thanks very much. You know, we've had a great stay. It's a lovely spot," and that's what you do it for. You know, when people say, if people who haven't been before say, "Oh, we'll definitely come back because, you know, this place is great and Western Isles is great," and that's what makes it worthwhile. That's what you do it for.